Ayubon, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Northern Wall, your weekly talk show with me, your host, Kayla Malari. Now, if this is your first time here, Ayubon, and welcome. This is our weekly show where I talk about things, anything and everything related to core. So we've done a lot of series so far. We've done an anime series where I talked about the animes that we've depicted on stage, as well as favorite animes, favorite anime characters. We've talked about astrology because astrology is a huge part of being on core. It's just, I don't know why, it just is. And now we are talking about comics. This is part 3 of the comic series. Last week, a lot of our patrons gave their suggestions for subject matter and they asked about recommendations. So I pulled out my entire library of comic book paraphernalia that I've acquired personally, not everything I've read, but just what I own. And we talked about places where people could start. Now, in honor of Women's History Month, and because the other day was International Women's Day, we're going to talk about female superheroes. Because who doesn't love a female superhero? So, hello, be prepared, and welcome. I hope you're having a great day. Now, female superheroes. All right, you must understand this about me. I'm old. I am 33 years old, and I am so happy to be 33. I love being 33 years old. It's great. But that means I've lived through some stuff. And when I was a kid, superheroes in popular media was not a thing. I had comic books, I had manga, I had whatever anime I could get my hands on. But as a kid, there wasn't really as much saturation of the superhero world. What is this telling me? You fine. My internet was trying to be like, I'm not fine. You fine. Superheroes weren't saturated in mainstream media at all. We had like Wonder Woman and Superman from back in the day. Like super campy. All you had to do was put a cape on and you're like, boom, pow. That was the most we had of superheroes, live action or otherwise. There were some cartoons, but even then they weren't like crazy though. They weren't everywhere. We had Batman Beyond. Yo, who remembers Batman Beyond? That was so intense. And again, that was all we really had. We had things like Sailor Moon when I was a kid. We had the Powerpuff Girls. Shout out to the announcements that are happening. But we had superheroes not necessarily in the comic book sense. So I didn't really get to grow up watching a Wonder Woman on the big screen or watching a Captain Marvel on the big screen. What we did have, which was bananas at the time, was, I don't know if anyone's going to remember this. This was way back when I was like, oh wait, sorry, before I get there. Because we didn't have superheroes, but I loved action and I was raised in an action household, all we really had, my sister and I, to really glean as a role model in the sense of badass fighting women was from the martial arts movies that we watched. So my dad and our older brother, they always watched Jet Li, Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan. Like those were the movies that I grew up with. Every Christmas, our brother Dwayne would always play Police Academy. And that's a Jackie Chan series. And there's like 1,000 police academies, okay? There's 1,000. And we would watch them all the time. Always watch Jackie Chan movies. One of my favorites is Operation Condor. It's a not well-known one. It is hilarious. But Jackie Chan and Jet Li and martial arts movies in general did have pretty strong lead characters. A lot of the women in them were martial artists in themselves. I loved Jackie Chan's Operation Condor because the women were hilarious. They were silly and weird in it. And that's what I loved. So that's where I got my action fix of female fighting characters. Was from action films like that. And like Jamie Lee Curtis in what was that? She was in that movie with the governor. The Governator. Oh gosh, now I can't. True Lies. True Lies? Maybe. But so not necessarily superheroes, but female role models that were strong and everything. I think Sarah Connor from Terminator was like the first superhero in US media that I ever saw and I loved. I'm a huge, not many people know that, but I'm a huge Terminator fan. Freaking love the Terminator franchise. Sarah Connor was so cool. She was a mom and she was a fighter. Like, that was so advanced at the time that I don't think people even realized it, that she showed what it was like to be a mom. And she was older because she had a son, and she was his protector. The son that would save the world, she was his protector. Freaking love Sarah Connor. If you ever watched the show Sarah Connor Chronicles, Lena Headey is Sarah Connor in it. Summer Glau plays the Terminator in it. Two amazing female actresses that I absolutely love. Tangent. Anyways, so when, like, what, now it's 11, 12, 13 years ago when Iron Man first came out and started this whole revolution. In my opinion, it did start with Iron Man. But even though he wasn't the pinnacle of it, his era was the start of superheroes starting to overtake the media. Before that, who was the last, like, female superhero that we saw on TV? The only one I can remember is Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl from Batman and Robin. When George Clooney was Batman, after, what was his face was Batman, and he had the nipples in his armor. Does anyone remember that movie? Oh, it was bad. Anyways, I love Alicia Silverstone. Clueless, she was in Batman and Robin, and she played Batgirl in it. Now, Batman and Robin was the only time you would see Robin on the screen. It wasn't very good, but that's okay, because as someone who loves Robin, namely Tim Drake, but Robin in general, I was like, it's okay. I mean, you take what you can get. And then Alicia Silverstone came in, and she was only really Batgirl for, like, the third act of the movie. But that was all we had. We're like, yes, she's gonna find the Batcave, and she's gonna put on the mask, and she's gonna wear the cape, and oh, there she goes. Oh, it's Cher from Clueless. Like, that's all I had. Then Iron Man started this revolution. And then we started to get superhero television shows. And the animated movies and the animated shows started to become more prevalent. And all of a sudden, everywhere I looked, these superheroes that I absolutely loved were starting to be depicted and made mainstream. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. And so we're going to talk about not only the comic book characters or the depiction of these characters in the comic books, but also in mainstream media, because we have to celebrate female superheroes. I mainly say this whole tangent origin story because let me pull up this image of it. I mean, it's not the image of the moment, but where is this? In Endgame. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna vent. Okay, I'm gonna get mad for a second. Let's get mad. First of all, in Endgame, someone on Tumblr, yeah, I still go on Tumblr. Someone on Tumblr was like, if you take out the big fight scene at the end of Endgame, it's not that good of a movie. Yeah, if you take out the ring going to Mordor and Lord of the Rings, it's like not that good of a movie. If you take out the whole, you're a wizard, Harry Potter isn't that good of a movie. Like, if you what? And I responded to that person on Tumblr, which, I mean, it's Tumblr. No one's going to answer you back. But they were like, I was like, yeah, if you take away the culmination of 10 years of a multiverse being created and formed over a slew of movies released in 3 phases, and you take away the climax of that, which is the battle scene in Endgame, yeah, it's not that great of a movie. It's like if you took out the whole Tony Stark had to build an arc reactor to take the shrapnel out of his chest. Iron Man, the first movie, wouldn't be that good of a movie. Like, what? That was so... What? It was like the dumbest comment. So, don't make dumb comments like that. Thinking that you're being insightful. No, you're just being a troll. You're just being a mainstream troll. And mainstream trolling is hating on things. Hating on things for the sake of hating them, like with no reasoning whatsoever, Or even if the reasoning is bad, like that's dumb. If you take out the battle scene in Endgame, it's not that good of a movie. Well, then you probably don't know how to comprehend movies if you thought Endgame was a bad movie. It wasn't. It's very well written because it was written as the third act to Infinity War. If anyone noticed, if anyone had any modicum of intelligence, you know that Infinity War wasn't a complete storyline. It was Act 1 and it was Act 2 of a storyline. Endgame was Act 3 of that storyline. So if you go into Endgame thinking this is my favorite standalone movie, then you're crazy because it's not a standalone movie and it presents itself as less. Anyways, going back to Endgame, there was actually some people, mostly men, but some women that were like, oh my gosh, that scene where all the girls like come together on the screen is so cheesy. Then you know what? That scene wasn't for you. Okay? That's what that means. That scene wasn't for you. You know who it was for? It was for little Kayla Malari. It was for little Kayla Malari, who literally grew up with absolutely no women wearing the costumes that I wanted them to wear, being the characters that I hoped one day they would be. Because when that scene happened in Endgame, when all of the female characters in the Marvel Cinematic Extended Universe came on screen and they left that open space in the front for Black Widow, I literally started crying. I started crying. And you can ask Core, I got like breath, I couldn't breathe. Because there was enough women to fill that scene. Do you understand how hard that is? That for years, there was nothing. For like 25 years, there was nothing, at least in my lifetime. And then for about 5-7 years, there was only Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow in the background of other movies. We had to do Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, and Thor. And we had to get like these heroes, these female heroes and these strong female characters in the background. And then that scene happened and I was like, we got them. Like, there's Scarlet Witch. There's Gamora and Nebula, like part of a not well-known title on screen, and that's someone's favorite. We got Pepper Potts in her rescue. Like, I thought I would never... I remember when Iron Man came out, and I was like, oh, they'll never get to a point where Pepper will be able to get into a suit. There's no way this franchise is going to last that long. And we got there. That is amazing. So that scene, for all the people that didn't like that scene of all the women thought it was campy, guess what, boo-boo? They didn't make that for you. They made that for little old me. Just me. They probably made it for some other girls too, and some other men, and some other non-binary, gender fluid people who needed that scene, but it was for me. It was for people like me who are waiting for that. So I hate when people hate on stuff like that, when it's definitely something that means something to someone else. So if you're here to hate on any Marvel, or especially Marvel movies, I mean, DC, we can hate on them for different things, but I still love them for what they attempted to do. Then get out of here. If you hate comic books, this is not the show for you. Like, go away if you hate comic books. Anyways, let's talk about my favorite female super heroines. Okay? We're going to start with DC because I just like to start with DC. And we're going to start with our main girl. Here she is. Oh, Miss Diana Prince. Miss Wonder Woman herself. The number one Amazonian. I mean, okay. It's Wonder Woman. I mean, I'm wearing her Lasso of Truth earrings right now. Everything about Diana was great. Here's the thing, and this was actually discussed in our patron group, is that a lot of the comic books, the way they depict women, yes, they are geared towards men, mainly because they're drawn by men. Is that good? No, it's not good. But does it mean that only men can like it? No. I mean, I like watching a hot girl fight. Is that like a weird thing? No. I'm pretty sure anyone likes to watch a hot girl or a hot woman fight and like be badass. Like that's just like a happy thing for most people. I don't really care about, I mean, some guys, not all hot guys fighting is attractive to me. That's just bleh. But Wonder Woman is honestly one of the most iconic and most legendary female superheroes because of everything. Because she was strong, she was powerful. She kind of fits. She's like the comic book Disney princess because she's a princess, and then she has to go like fight and find her own place in the world and blah 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 he blah blah. What was great is that she's one of the originators of the Justice League. So between her, Superman, and Batman, she is this triforce of some of the most iconic and powerful people. The reason why I love Wonder Woman, though, I mean, out of the whole slew list of reasons, is perfectly explained in my much hated New 52. But it doesn't, okay. Come with me on this journey. Let me explain. Long ago, there was an arc in DC called the Tower of Babel. And in the Tower of Babel, it talked about how Ra's al Ghul, mentor to Batman, broke into Batman's Batcave. Which, by the way, Ra's al Ghul does that a lot. Like, I mean, I know it's like master versus apprentice, but Batman is so good at fighting everyone except for Ra's al Ghul. And I'm like, dude, you need to step up your game. Anyways, Ra's al Ghul breaks into the Batcave and he steals Batman's contingency plans on how to defeat every single member of the Justice League. He steals that information, uses it to completely incapacitate the Justice League, while also incapacitating all communication amongst every living being on Earth in order to dominate the world. So not only is everyone all the Justice League is being attacked by their perfect weakness, they also can't communicate with each other. Like, they can't understand each other. It was so good. Tower of Babel. What? Great. And it, of course, it also like put Batman in this. There's an animated movie based off of it. I forget what it was even. Was it even called Tower of Babel? I don't know. But there is an animated movie if you want like the Wish version of that storyline. But it also put Batman in a precarious situation because a lot of the Justice League was like, oh my gosh, you had contingency plans to take all of us out. And he's like, yeah, dude, like, you don't understand. I'm the world's greatest detective. I'm like the smartest person here. I'm freaking Sherlock Holmes in a bat suit. You understand that if anyone compromised any single one of us, or if we ourselves were compromised, we would need to know how to take down each other, because we can't just be like, we're the ultimate good, because that's what a vigilante does. We have to also have a contingency plan. Like, you guys gotta come with me on this journey. And so, even though Batman was like the bad guy for a while, then they were like, okay, we understand you, Bruce. Like, oh my God, but you're not Bruce because that's your alias and you don't tell anyone your alias and blah. Anyways, that kind of idea, storyline concept got reincarnated and carried over into the New 52. And in the New 52, Superman and Wonder Woman had a romantic relationship. Did I like that? No, I did not, because it was weird. But what I did love about it was, I can't even remember what issue this is from, but okay, I'm just going to show you the panels. So in this panel, what does it say? Okay. So, I mean, you can read this on your own. Well, okay. So Batman, he on the bottom, they're looking at these cases. Do you see these cases with all their logos on it? Well, they're cases with their contingency plans in it. They're like in the, I think they're in the Batcave. Yeah. Batman only ever lets Superman in the Batcave. Batman and Robin only ever let the Super family into the Batcave, which is really funny because there was like a cute scene where Supergirl was like running around and Tim was like, girl, you need to chill. And like the kids were babysitting. Anyways, so he says, you have a box for every member of the League. And then Batman says, you want me to tell you why I'm so concerned about your relationship with Wonder Woman? And Clark says, I thought you already did. So he pulls out Wonder Woman's case and he tells Clark Kent, open it. He opens it. It's empty. And Bruce says, because Wonder Woman doesn't have a kryptonite, Clark. I can't even read this. This is too far away. He's saying the hard truth. Oh, I can't. I don't have my glasses. Anyways, basically what he's saying is the only contingency plan to take out Wonder Woman is Superman himself. But we also know by numerous accounts, Wonder Woman is generally stronger in physical stamina and power than Superman. He just has like laser eyes and, well, I mean, they both have flight. But so that was crazy. The idea that Superman, like the ultimate, you throw a rock at him and he goes down. Okay? Like literally, I don't understand why. And I have a framed picture of Lex Luthor because Yosh gave me I'm Lex Luthor to Superman. Side note. Anyways, I don't know why Lex Luthor doesn't have like a kryptonite ring. I think he does at one point. He should just have it all the time. Or like kryptonite earrings. He should just always have kryptonite because kryptonite doesn't do anything to humans, but it totally drains Superman. So like literally a rock. Superman's like a rock. I thought, oh, I'm down. With Martian Manhunter, who can morph his biology, who can phase and change his density, who can read minds. He goes down when it gets a little too hot. A lot of people forget that in Mars is farther, just because it's a red planet doesn't mean it's hot. It's farther from the sun than Earth, so they like it colder. When Martians get too hot in the DC universe, that's it. They're done. They're donezo. Begunzo. So you literally just like hold him to a candle too long and he's like, peace out, A-town down. But with Batman, you literally like, I mean, he's good. Batman's good, but he's like, I'm also just a human. Like, Wonder Woman has no set contingency plan weakness that even the smartest man in the world's greatest detective, could think of. He couldn't think of any weakness that he could control or sustain other than to throw Superman at Wonder Woman. Everyone else has a briefcase. You just like open up and it's like, defeat the Black Canary kit. It's defeat Green Arrow kit. And you open up Diana's, you open up Wonder Woman's and you're like, oh my gosh, she's Wonder Woman. You can't take her down. The only thing that can take her down is if the strongest man in the world fought her until eventually she tuckered out. And even then, we're not even sure that's going to happen. Like, if you're talking about one of the most badass women, female superheroes, Wonder Woman is literally, she's not even in the category. She is that titled category. She is what everything falls under. She's absolutely amazing. What I also love about her is that she's a little more hardcore than even Superman and sometimes even Batman. If you know, in the Injustice storyline, Superman went against his code and he killed Joker in that storyline. As we know, Joker's not dead. In that whole arc, he killed Joker, and then everyone's like, okay, but like superheroes aren't supposed to kill. Like even Batman doesn't kill people. And he's like, I'm dark and broody. And Superman ended up killing someone, and then he became a refugee, and all of the League had to take him in. And so it was crazy. So already, like, Superman has these restrictions with his moral compass, but he also, like, struggles because he can't even adhere to it. And then Batman's so old, like, broody, and he's like, I'm all about the darkness, I'm the Dark Knight, but, like, I don't get to pass out judgment. What I kind of love about Diana is that she's more pragmatic than either of them. She's a warrior queen. She knows how to, I'm like pointing the wrong way. She knows how to rule people. So when she makes decisions, oftentimes the League is like, dang, Wonder Woman, like, you're kind of being a little bit cold. And she's never been accused of being cold. She's very empathetic because she is also a woman. She's also had to be a teacher to a lot of the Amazon women and like, of course, all the Wonder Girls below her. So she knows how to be a mentor. So she mixes this pragmatic nature of being a ruler with the empathy of being a woman, existing with the need to be one of the main superheroes, and it makes her this amazing fleshed out character. What was really sad about the New 52 is a lot of Diana's characterization in this new iteration of DC was mostly in Justice League. I don't think she had her own title at that point, or even then it was like super short-lived. But regardless, she's one of the best superheroes. Not to mention that Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman on the screen, like, I have my issues with DC movies all the time. They're poorly made because the writers don't put care into it. And in cases like Suicide Squad, it's like 80 different people had to say in 80 different parts of that movie. It was not cohesive whatsoever. But I don't really ever have a problem with the actual actors in it. A lot of them are just doing the best they can with whatever they're given. And Gal Gadot did great with Wonder Woman. The fact that they got a woman of color, good, because that's what Wonder Woman is. She's not white. She's Greek. She's hardcore Greek. And because she's an Amazonian, because she falls on that island of Themyscira, there's a lot of allusion to her possibly being a little bit of a Middle Eastern or a Palestinian in there, which is totally a thing. And I'm so glad they got Gal Gadot to do that. They also got someone who understood combat, who understood what fighting an actual person means. And so it brought this underlying layer to Wonder Woman that some people didn't need. They're just like, oh my gosh, Wonder Woman, she's great on screen. And I was like, oh my gosh, Wonder Woman and all of her complexity has made it on screen. She's not just a Barbie doll in a leotard fighting. She's a woman who literally stands for her own purpose because that's what she was raised on. And she was raised with other fighter women. So she goes into the world where fighting women was not a thing. And she was like, y'all need to sit down because I don't understand why you're yelling, but I'm going to shut you up in 2 seconds. So Wonder Woman is definitely at the top of the list, of course. Moving on to the other women of DC, can we talk about Black Canary? Black Canary, Miss Dinah Laurel Lance. So there are technically 2 Black Canaries, both named Dinah. One goes by Laurel Lance rather than Dinah Lance, even though they're both named Dinah. Literally. The mom, the first Black Canary, is named Dinah Lark something Lance. And then she had a daughter who took on the mantle of Black Canary, and she went by Dinah Laurel Lance. The only reason they separated that and they have the same first name is because technically they had Black Canary, and then they redid her character in like a new iteration after, I think, the golden age of comics. But they kept the same name, and then people got confused, and so they just like separated them. I don't know. Anyway, one of my favorite things about Black Canary is that besides the fact that she has the canary cry, that's really the only major superhero thing about her. And she doesn't use the canary cry very often. One of her main things is she's at the peak of what it means to be a fighter as a human. So she's just a human, she doesn't have like super much of anything. But she's at the peak ability of agility, durability, combat skills. She is the best at hand-to-hand combat in the Justice League. Where people like Oliver, Green Arrow, is the best at weaponry. Or people like Batman, he's the world's greatest detective. They can all fight, but hands down, Laurel Lance, Miss Black Canary herself, is the best at hand-to-hand combat. You don't believe me? Oh, that's okay. I will show you what I mean by the best in hand-to-hand combat. Oh my gosh, is that Superman? Did she just kick Superman in the face? Why, yes, she did. In the Injustice storyline, which I just told you about, when all of the Justice League goes out to go bring Superman back in, who does it? Someone shoots Superman. Oh, I think it's Dinah. I think it's Laura. Black Canary puts it on herself to go and bring Clark back, and he's like kind of going off the deep end. He's now going, having killed someone is really messing with his brain, so he's like not really Superman at this point. She ends up shooting him with a kryptonite bullet. So granted, that takes away a lot of his power. It takes away his Kryptonian powers. So now it's basically on the same level field. You have Black Canary and you have Superman on the same level. She hands him his ass on a platter. It's short-lived, granted. Spoilers. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Something happens right after this moment. But she takes Superman down. She's just a girl. Do you understand? She's so good. She trained a lot of the younger generation. We see that in the show Young Justice. That actually is a hail back to her training a lot of what Young Justice and the Teen Titans were. She trained a lot of the younger generation. And a lot of the younger generation that ended up graduating to go into the Justice League. She also is kind of the rock that holds together, the poor Arrow family. If you know, she's married to, where's her picture go? She's married to Green Arrow and Oliver Queen and Speedy and Arsenal. Like they have a hard time. That family deals a lot with like drug addiction and everything, and Black Canary is the mom who holds them all together. So not only do you, again, just like Wonder Woman, you get to see her just be a soloist, so badass, so hardcore. Her father was a cop, so she trained in everything. She trains with the Amazonians. Again, doesn't have Amazonian strength, doesn't have any of their powers. She's just a person. Trained with them. She trained with Lady Shiva, the best assassin in the world. Mother to Cassandra Cain. She trained with everyone. Became the best at hand-to-hand combat. But also mentors the younger generation. But also is a mom to like all the Arrow family and helps them through their tougher times. We watch her help Roy Harper when he deals with his drug addiction. We watch her help Oliver. I forgot his name for a second. Oliver when he goes through his addiction. So she has this great capacity for understanding alongside being one of the strongest members of the Justice League. And she's so level-headed that a lot of times Batman will ask for her take on things, which is really cool. I mean, especially when female superheroes are so few and far between. It's crazy because if you think about the iconic ones who were created by men, it is possible that they did it right. This fleshed out character. She's so great. I love Black Canary. Also, just for reference, her Canary cry has been able to make people's heads explode. Like, completely decimate whole automobiles. Her Canary cry is intense, and she doesn't even use it that often. That's the coolest thing. She doesn't even use it that often. It's like usually a last resort for her. She just, that's it. Oh, you gotta love my girl. All right. Now we're gonna go to the younger generation. This is a fan favorite right now. Who doesn't love Raven? Who doesn't love Ray Ray? And I'm not talking, I mean, I love Teen Titans Raven. I'm talking about Teen Titans comic books Raven. That's my girl Raven. Because she ain't a girl. She's a woman. In the comic book, she is a woman. And it was debated on how powerful she is. I was looking through a lot of forums to like refresh a lot of my memories, and I saw some discussions where they're like, I actually wonder how powerful is Raven, because it seems like she could be more OP than everyone else. It's because she is. What's said to her during the Trigon arc way back in like the 80s, the very first time they did Trigon, when she had like when Starfire had like the 80s hair and she kind of looked like a witch, like she looked like a witch. Raven was told by okay, wait. Let me put some knowledge on you right now. The whole Trigon arc in Teen Titans, the show, super mitigated down, filtered down. The whole arc of Trigon was I think a 500 year, it might be longer than that. I don't know why I stuck on 500, but a 500 year long preparation of Trigon coming to Earth, and Raven was supposed to be his portal in which he came to Earth. But the monks of Azarath got to her first. And for years, they were prepping for her manifestation. And then when she did manifest, prepping her to be the end-all to Trigon, who would bring about not only the apocalypse, but the disintegration of all dimensions. So when she, like, joins the Teen Titans, another demon comes to, like, tell her. She kind of already knows what's going on. But they tell her what is prophesized for her. And one of the things they say about her powers is that she could bring heaven to ash. She could destroy all the stars in the galaxy. So they already know. There's all these demonic realms that know that Raven is the end-all, be-all. And so a lot of people were wondering, they're like, well, if she's so powerful, she's so freaking OP, like, why doesn't she use it? Because the side effect is she's an empath and she's a pacifist. People don't know that. Raven's a pacifist. She actually, in the comic book, she doesn't fight almost ever. She she stays back, and she's usually a healer, and she's usually the telepath, and she's the protector of her team. Very, very, very rarely will she go in and actually be like Starfire's swooping in and doing like the hardcore parkour stuff. Raven holds back, not just because she's an empath, but because she understands the weight of her powers could destroy everything. So she doesn't ever want to unleash that. As we go on with her story in the Teen Titans, she becomes stronger in her emotions. She's able to control her powers a little bit more. She contributes to battles a little bit more. But along the whole grain, she stays a pacifist. I really love that about someone who's so powerful and who understands feelings more acutely than anyone else. If you want, where was it? There was, during the Trigon arc. Look at her! She is, I think this was during Titans when I think Trigon was trying to control her again. She has all the Titans. Like, this is her generation of Teen Titans. She has them not even breaking a sweat, y'all. And they all know it. They all know that if Raven ever went dark side, that's it. We done. It's out. Like, we're never going to recover. And so it's almost, I'm going to make a comparison. In the writing of her, or the characterization of her is kind of like the unintentional writing of like Sakura in Naruto, where she's so OP that honestly, if you kind of threw her in every battle, if you think about it, with the stats that you gave her, not necessarily how you depicted her in the storyline, but with the stats that you gave her, she could technically end the battle. That's what Sakura is. When Kishimoto, when he gave her the statistics of being able to control her chakra so perfectly that she could decimate a landscape, if you apply that to the world, you realize, okay, so she's One Punch Man. She punches this guy, she lands one hit, it's done. That's not much of a battle. Let's make her whiny and take her out of it. That's kind of what the characterization, not the storyline, of Raven is. Raven's OP, so strong. End battle, toot sweet. It also opens up the door to like the end of time. So she's like, you know what? We're just gonna hold back, and I'm gonna stay back here. And I love that. I love that not every badass female character has to be this all the time. Like, you don't have to be so awesome and cool and beat people up in order to depict that you're strong. She depicts a strength that is so ingrained, especially because she goes through a lot of mental illness and a lot of like mental health issues because her empathic abilities seep out, and especially when she's reincarnated and she's trying to get in touch with her powers again, she doesn't know how to understand people and then doesn't know how to stop from influencing them. So it creates a lot of trust issues that she has with a lot of the people that she loves, because she actually doesn't know if she's influencing them to do things or if they're influencing her to do things. Like, could you even imagine? Like, so the strength that she depicts is more reserved, is more introverted, and I absolutely love Raven in the comic books. I mean, I love my Raven in TT, but Raven in the comic books is just, she is a little cuddle sweetheart. She's also not even that broody. She's not as broody as she is in Teen Titans the show. One of my favorite things is after she was reincarnated, the Teen Titans go out to like have fun in the city, and I think she goes with with Wonder Girl, to go get a tattoo of a raven on her back. And Beast Boy was like, because she's like best friends with, found her after she was reincarnated, so she like kind of imprinted on him. He's like, yo dude, you have a tattoo? And she's like, yeah, just like, I wanted something that was just for me. Like, what a girl thing to do. And it was so cute. And I was like, aw, you can destroy the world. And you got a Raven tattoo because your name's Raven. You're so cute. I love Raven. Anyways, okay. Before I spend this whole time talking about Raven, was that all my DC girls? I mean, we have a lot of DC girls. If I'm being, though, those are Marvel girls. There's my DC girls. Starfire, y'all know I talked about Starfire last time. She's great. This is the new 52. So I mean, I just liked the artwork, but what's going on with this Raven? That's not it. You got Harley Quinn. I love Harley. I love Harley and Poison Ivy together. That is a healthy relationship. Anyone that ever any couple that cosplays Joker and Harley together, go up to them, be like, oh my gosh, you're cosplaying as a toxic relationship. Y'all weird. Like, that's not, cosplays Joker, cosplays Harley. You just keep them separated. Ain't good news. That's just not good. All right, so now, how could I forget? My girl, Cassandra Cain. I've talked enough about Cassandra Cain. As you know, she was the first and only Asian American that was depicted in the Bat family. You can watch the other episodes for the whole breakdown of her. I just wanted to do this because I just love her relationship with Tim Drake. This is where she came back. This is her as Black Bat, and she was coming back to the Bat family. They needed her for Batman Inc. And she runs up to Tim and hugs him, and he's like, they're so sweet to each other. Their dynamic is so genuine and different than most Robins and Batgirls. And I think, to me, their love is, it reminds me a lot of Levi and Hunji. Not the same personas, but that same trust. where they always depend on each other. Like I said before, Tim always stayed in contact with Cass, and likewise Cass always stayed in contact with Tim. They always knew what the other was doing, even on their covert missions. Even when like she would have to go dark for a while, she'd let Tim know. And the first when they needed her back, they all turned to Timmy. They're like, Timmy, we need Cass back. He's like, I got you. She's like on speed dial. This is my girl. And he's like, Cass. So there's just, you guys, they're so cute. I love them. We might just have a whole episode where all I do is depict them. I'm trying to see. Okay. Now we go to my Marvel ladies. Marvel ladies. More than meets the eye. Let's start with like the original. We're talking about Storm. Okay. Who doesn't love Storm? Always at the top of the list of favorite superheroes. Like general list. Always. Of course, always at the top of favorite black superheroes. And it was great because she was a big originator of black superheroes in comic books. She was a little backstory on Storm. Her parents moved out of Kenya. She's by birth a princess of a Kenyan tribe. And the heiress, and she's the queen of a Kenyan tribe. But her parents, they moved out to Egypt, Cairo. And she grew up there, but then her parents were killed in a plane crash. Oh, this was sad. I don't know if many people know this. A jet fell. I don't know how this happened. But a jet crashed into like where they were living or where they were at. And killed her parents, but she was trapped under the rubble with both her parents' dead bodies for a couple of days before they were found. So Storm, Ororo, grew up as an orphan, but also she has a very severe case of claustrophobia because of that, understandably, because she was trapped in a small space. And a lot of times, because her powers are tied to her emotions, if she starts to feel claustrophobic, it tends to nuke out her powers and she negates them. She's gotten better over time, but that's something really cool. Not really cool, but it's something interesting that they added to her characterization. What people think, like when people think, oh, Storm, it's my mom is calling me. It's scaring me. I'll call you back, Mom. What a lot of people think Storm can do is she can just control the weather. She can do more than just control the weather. She controls all aspects of weather. So a lot of people think Storm, she creates storms. She does more than that. She can control the oceans because they control the weather. She can control the Earth's magnetic field because they can control the weather. So essentially, Storm's the Avatar. Do you understand? This is what I'm saying. She's basically the Avatar. She can control so many things. She can make a little rain cloud on a potted plant, or she can change the weather on the entire planet. She's a goddess and was praised as such in Africa as a goddess because she's descended down from priestesses. And so, I mean, at this point, I don't even think of Storm as an X-Men. She's not an X-Men. She's just a god. She's like Thor. She's just a god. They're like, she's got an X gene. And I'm like, you're just trying to make it make sense. Don't make it make sense. She's a goddess. Okay? We're just going to stick with that. What I love about her is that, again, I just really love when the characters become mentors. And a lot of them are always female women. Female women. That's a thing. Female women who mentor the younger generation. As we know, she's one of the main heads of Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. There was a day where Joseph, who's probably the only other person I've ever known who's more of an expert on X-Men than... I mean, I'm not an expert on X-Men, but like even Matt, like Joseph knows so much about X-Men. We couldn't remember what Xavier's school was called. I think he made it so long. It was hilarious. I gotta ask him what it was. He was like, the Xavier's School of Institutions. Something. Anyways, Storm becomes the headmistress there, eventually taking over for Xavier, and of course leads the X-Men, as well as trains the X-Men that pass through the school. I was so excited when she got married to Black Panther T'Challa. So I'm so sorry for everyone that loved Lupita Nyong'o's character in Black Panther. Wait, that's not Lupita. Yes, it is. I can't remember names. I didn't. I shipped Storm and Black Panther. And their wedding was beautiful. Cap was there, as was Iron Man. I think most of the Avengers were there. Yeah, they were there. They had their full wedding in the comic book. It was beautiful. So she was the queen consort of Wakanda, as well as the queen and head priestess of a Kenyan tribe. That, I mean, could you be more OP? Another side of being a strong female character. We're like, you have these female characters that are going through so much as like a woman going through the regular struggles. We got to see this different side where it's all this amazing privilege of being a royal line, of being so powerful and being the queen of an entire nation. But also she was an X-Men and an X-Men depicted and were representative of all the ostracized minorities of the world, which they were the ostracized minority in the world of Marvel. So she's part of this segregated group that's kind of always looked down upon, but is also revered as someone who oftentimes gave a lot of advice to the reigning supreme powers in the world, and then was also the queen of a nation. Granted, hardships, Black Panther and Storm did end up divorcing. In the storyline, it was because of Avengers versus X-Men. On the business side, it was because their titles and their rights were going to do two separate studios. But they made it make sense, and it was really sad. But I mean, to this day, I still love Storm. I can't even think of a time where I didn't like Storm. Like a lot of characters, I mean, there's characters like Emma Frost and Jessica Drew, who did Spider-Woman, who did things that like, you're like, oh no, you were bad for a while, blah, blah, blah. But Storm was just always great. Storm was just the best. Storm is one of my soulmate's favorite superheroes. Way back when we were on CG, she always used Storm as her avatar. We had like this, when we were on our collegiate team, we had this era where everyone started to separate into DC hero and Marvel hero camps. I don't know why. That was so random. And then we started to like cling to our different personas. If I was in the DC world, of course I clung to Tim Drake. But I was on the side of Marvel, so I clung to Spider-Woman. I really loved Spider-Woman. And Soulmate clung to Storm because that was her favorite. So in my head, she's always been Storm. So it was kind of serendipitous when we finally did X-Men and she got to cosplay as Storm. I thought that was perfect. And a great depiction of how she kind of is as a person too. Someone who's just powerful and strong, but also has to deal with the leadership aspect and also having to be kind of the only one of her kind in this realm that she's in. She's the only Sri Lankan I know who is really making a name for herself in dance and cosplay. Like, whoa, trailblazer, hello. So Storm is perfect for her, and also one of my favorite female superheroes in Marvel. And now we're gonna get, here we go. Let's have, what is that? We're gonna get to it. Where is she? Girl, where's my girl at? Where'd she go? There she is. Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, my favorite. Hey. I literally exploded in the theaters when I watched I'm getting like teary-eyed right now. When I watched Captain Marvel for the first time. I love Miss Marvel. Her storyline is heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking. If you don't know the full extent of Carol Danvers' storylines, let me inform you. She got her powers from a Kree invention. I forget. It's like called the pyromagnet, some kind of gun thing. And it reworked her DNA so she became part Kree as well as part human, which endowed her with the powers of Captain Marvel that we all know and love. She wasn't Captain Marvel for a while. She was Miss Marvel. And then eventually, because she admired Marvel, which in the comics was the guy, she ended up adopting the helm of Captain Marvel. And at one point went into space, became more powerful, and became binary because she was just the binary is what you see at the bottom right here. Oh my god, this one, it's like super OP. That was she was basically had the makeup of a white hole, like a imploding star. That was her power reserve. It was too much, so they're like, okay, let's take away some of that power. Let's just make her Captain Marvel. So she became Captain Marvel. She joined the Avengers, and she eventually became one of the most popular heroes in the world, in the comic book. So in the comic book, she became famous. Everyone was like, Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel. She was everywhere. She was the face of everything. She was the ultimate superhero. She was beautiful. Oh, she was so powerful and so comfortable with her power. And then, this is why I love Rogue, but I also hate Rogue. Rogue accidentally, permanently stole her powers and her memories. She held on to Carol Danvers for too long, completely drained her of her powers and her memories. And then Carol went into a coma, and then she woke up and had no idea who she was and what was going on. And it actually destroyed Rogue for a while. She couldn't handle she had the powers, and she was like, yeah, I'm Captain Marvel, I'm going around flying, I'm super strong and everything. And then the powers and the memories that Carol had been harboring were too powerful for her. She had to go through like reform, a lot of psychological reform for it. But Carol was like devastated. She ended up, I think this was the start of a lot of her downward spiral. At one point, she does live with Xavier, and she resides in the school to kind of recuperate, and then also has a hard time because then they send Rogue there to recuperate too, and she kind of sees that as a betrayal. She was like, yo, this is the girl that like took everything from me. It was sad. It was a sad arc when she lost everything. Eventually we go back and forth with her gaining new powers or gaining her powers. She also is she's part Kree, so that does make her stronger in a sense. It's why there's, I think, another manifestation of her powers because she's Kree. It's able to absorb in her and not others. She ends up going back to being Miss Marvel, going back to Captain Marvel. She travels out with the Guardians of the Galaxy for a while. She loses her powers so many times. She gains her powers so many times. She deals with the trauma of losing her powers because it's not easy all the time she's done it. She dealt with alcoholism, and then in order to go back to the Avengers at one point, the Avengers were like, well, one, she was a lot weaker when she joined the Avengers. I think she rejoined them, I want to say like the third time or the fourth time. I can't remember. She rejoined them, but her power reserve was taken from her again. And her body was starting to not be able to handle it. And so she was trying to hide that she wasn't as strong, which was trauma on her body physically and trauma in her brain. And so she delved into alcoholism to deal with it. She ended up was court-martialed by the Avengers to deal with it. And so they didn't like exclude her. They're like, we let her to. She went away for a while to join Homeland Security. Is that when she did Homeland Security? I think she did. And then realized it wasn't for it. So she went back to the Avengers. The Avengers ended up with the friendship. Oh, I love her friendship with Jessica Jones and with Jessica Drew. The two Jessicas. Jessica, it's me. She's best friends with Spider-Woman and with Jessica Jones. I mean, Jewel, if you know that's her name. Those are two of her best friends. Side note, I was really hoping in Jessica Jones on Netflix that they were going to have Carol Danvers because their friendship is the main reason both Jessica and Carol get through their trauma is each other. So I was like, oh, I wonder if they're going to have her in the show. But then they couldn't because she was going to be in the movie. So, I mean, that's okay. But I was also like, but their friendship. And then in Civil War 2, the first Civil War was Iron Man versus Captain America. The second Civil War was against Captain Marvel and Iron Man. And it was crazy. It was so good. I don't know if I'm on the side of Captain Marvel in Civil War 2. I understand. I don't want to spoil what the plot line is so that you have to go read it. Big enough for you to show up and find out. But I did like the way that she went about leading. Now, if we're going to the MCEU, a lot of people are like, she's not the strongest. She's not the strongest in the comics. But in the Marvel Extended Cinematic Universe, she is hands down made to be the strongest. That's not like, oh, we're just guessing, we're putting our stats together. No. Marvel established her as the strongest. These were the stats they released on their website in preparation of the Marvel movies to depict how strong Marvel is. So they compared Captain Marvel to, of course, Iron Man with his enhanced suit, and then Black Panther. You have to remember Black Panther, while he has like the power of the flower. Black Panther has flower power. Do you ever think about that? Black Panther has flower power, but he's technically just like a human. He's like just a person. So they put their stats together. If you look at everything, there's things like, okay, so when it says intelligence, it puts Iron Man, of course, at a 6. I mean, he's just a genius. You have to understand that he's a genius. And then you have Black Panther at a 5 because he's a political figure. He was raised to be a king, so he had that education. She's at a 3. You have to understand that most humans are not on this scale that they're going by. She's a 3 because she was a NASA astronaut and she's a fighter pilot. I mean, if you know in the Air Force, like you have to, Air Force is where you go, where the smarties go. Air Force is the smart division. Not to say that, the other branches aren't that smart, but Air Force is like where the little geniuses go. So, but in terms of the Avengers, of course, Tony's smarter than her. But then you look at other things, you're like, okay, look at her durability though. We're going to make this bigger so y'all can see it, okay? Oh, that's too big. She got excited. There you go. It doesn't matter. You don't see my face. Do you see that durability? It is through the roof, and then they put a little starburst at the top because it's over. Do you see her speed in the corner? You have Black Panther at 35. Because again, he's like a cat, but he's like a person. Like as a person running 35 miles per hour, like that's gross. That's really fast. You're just a person. So then Iron Man, he's in a suit. He's going at 7,620 miles per hour. You got flying Carol Danvers at 240,000 miles per hour. That's how she's able to traverse the universe, y'all. That's how she was able to get back and save everyone in Endgame. Are you kidding me? Look at her. What's that one? Her energy reserves through the roof. She's like 10 arc reactors. Durability, I mean, she had to get punched point blank with the Power Stone. Do you understand? She had to get punched point blank with the Power Stone. Like, Thanos was punching people just with his finger and they were going down. He had to put his weight into it and also utilize an Infinity Stone to get her off of him. Like, I cannot tell you how amazing it was to watch Captain Marvel's story be depicted on the screen. It wasn't exactly like the comic books, which of course no material can be exactly the way it is in its source material. I mean, I love books better than movies, but I also understand that we can't do frame by frame everything that the book does because it's a book. That's a movie. They're two different mediums. Screenplay writing is completely different than being a novelist. But in the comic books, of course, she's a different iteration. In the movie, though, making it known that she is a woman and she's going to... They knew at Marvel that when they were going to present Captain Marvel as the strongest Avenger, that people would not accept that. Why? Because she's a woman. Literally. Do you understand the backlash that Brie Larson got as the actress casted as Captain Marvel? People called her stone and wooden. People said that she wasn't good. She was a terrible actress. She didn't do it justice. And none of that was true. She did exactly what all the other male characters did in their movies. She was broody and quiet and made quick quips and was snarky. But because she was a woman, because she was an Iron Man, because if you notice, Iron Man's face doesn't change. He just talks a lot. Robert Downey Jr. isn't like a super animated character. He's not Jim Carrey. He's not acting with his face. He's not even mouth acting. Like, what is her name? From Pride and Prejudice. Keira Knightley. He doesn't mouth act. He just says his lines. But his face doesn't really change. Like, he opens his eyes a little wider. And then most of the time, Steve Rogers is just like, I'm an old man Steve. And Hulk is CGI'd, okay? And then you have Carol Danvers, who's being depicted as the cutest little nugget. She's like a cat. And she was perfect in it. And I loved it. And they literally depicted what was happening to Brie Larson in real life in the movie. That time and time again, you're going to knock her down. When in reality, you're already tying one hand behind her back and wondering why she can't get up. She was going into this role knowing that there was going to be a slew of people that weren't going to accept her. And yet she still fought back. Her movie made millions. It freaking broke the box office. It was exactly what so many little girls needed at the time. I teach little kids. I'm a teacher. I love talking about superheroes with my kids. My little nuggets, when Captain Marvel came out, they love to sit with me. And it's crazy because, like, we can't let the kids sit on, like, kids are just crazy. They just want to glomp on you like koalas. But, like, you can't do that in school. So I'm like, you have to sit. You can sit as close as you want. But they would gather around and they just wanted to tell me. And I would always ask them, because they know Miss Kayla always wears her nerdy stuff. I go, did you guys watch Captain Marvel? The day that my kids watched Captain Marvel, they exploded. They were so excited. Like, I want to cry. They were so excited because they're like, she's so strong. She can fly. She has magic powers. They watched her just be free. Just totally take everyone down. And that scene at the end when she does not fight Jude Law's character. I don't even remember what his character's name is anymore. She doesn't fight him because she's like, I don't have anything to prove to you. I literally was like, oh my gosh, it's like she's saying it to the audience. She's literally saying that to all of you out in the world, to all you naysayers that thought that Captain Marvel wasn't going to be good. And there are still people who be like, I don't really like Captain Marvel. It's one of the worst Marvel movies. Well, nobody likes you. Because guess what? You didn't make a movie. You didn't represent women on the screen. You didn't break boundaries. You didn't do anything. You just sat there and poo-pooed on something other people loved. So, you know, and like especially, I come from a team that is led by strong women. We have Sammy in the chat. We have my co-founder, Sonali. I have my bro TP, Liz. My manager, Urban, known as Melissa. I call her Little. Like, I'm surrounded by strong women. I have my sister. I have my dancers. We have Rio and Trini and Joe. And, gosh, there's like Lauren. Who else is there? There's so many girls on the team. Oh my gosh. I'm surrounded by strong women, and we watched Captain Marvel together, and we just... It was the same feeling that I got when I saw that scene in Endgame. It's like, you need that. You need that representation. And that's why representation means everything in media. So just remember when women get emotional, like I'm getting emotional right now. When women get emotional about seeing female characters in media, it's because we need that. It doesn't matter if you wipe out every male character and only make them female. It's still not enough. It's still not enough. We need every representation to be overrepresented. Every denomination to be overrepresented. We need more women. We need more women of color. We need more trans women. We need more gender, non-binary, fluid men, women, everyone in media, so that we have someone and something and somewhere to look towards and to and at, something that we can just hold on to. We need those things that sit in your heart when you're a little kid in a theater and you just really want them to do a female character. And then you have to wait till you're 30 years old to see a female character all lined up on the screen for you. And you're like, oh God, I remember feeling like that when I was a kid. So, to all my amazing women out there, oh, I freaking love you. Those are my favorite female characters. I'm getting so emotional over this because I love it. I want to go watch Captain America. I also want to watch Captain America. Black Widow. I had a whole slew of Black Widow, but I actually want to do a whole thing on all the Marvel women because we also have the Dora Milaje. So good. And I had a whole thing on Scarlet Witch, but especially since WandaVision just ended, I'm gonna wait till y'all catch up on that. Then we're gonna talk about WandaVision. So we're gonna have a whole MCEU discussion later on. Not now. While I drink my coldest water because I'm crying. Nifa! I want to watch a Marvel movie with you. You all are beautiful. Women are beautiful. Aw, Bro TP says James sends me a hug. What's funny is James is her boyfriend. I love James. We've decided that our dynamic is he's Professor Xavier and I'm Magneto, which I laugh at because with Yosh, our prop master, Josh, he played... Oh my god, Nifa, what was his name in Across the Multiverse? What was Yosha's character in Across the Multiverse? Starts with a W. Watanuki! I had to go through the joke. I was like, Watanuki. Yosh, who's our prop master and played Watanuki in Across the Multiverse, our dynamic is I'm Lex Luthor to his Superman. So it's funny because I tend to be the evil side of the arch nemesis pairing with other people. I wonder what that says about me. Okay, anyways. So, what was I talking about? We're going to do a whole Marvel episode, but MCEU depicted because we got to talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier is coming out soon. Desmond Chiam, the husband, is going to be in that, and I love Winter Soldier. It is hands down my #1 favorite Marvel movie. We'll get into that next week. And they're making a show out of it? Like, are you kidding me? So we'll be talking about that later, and we'll get to talk about Scarlet Witch and Gamora and Nebula. Oh, the actress for Nebula. So much respect for her. Anyways, oh yeah, he was Forge. Remember when he was Forge? Did you know Storm and Forge kind of had like a thing in the comic books? It's weird. That's just letting you know. That was a thing. Weird. I don't know. Anyways, so that's it for this episode of me being a big weenie when it comes to my girls as superheroes because I love me my girls. I love my girls. And there's nothing wrong with hot girls kicking ass because who doesn't, like, I watched Sucker Punch. I wasn't going there for the storyline. I was there because I was like, hot girls wearing cool outfits, going around shooting guns and fighting with swords. I'm all for it. So, power to the hot girls. This is the coldest water. A lot of our patrons actually bought one. Katie got a purple one, which low-key really want. What's really awesome is, oh, I should like not spill this. If you order from us and you use our code, oh god. If you use our code, this is engraved for, oh, clearly this has been in my dance bag because this is engraved. This is specialty made for Core. This is our special bottle. But, so you won't get that. If you order, unfortunately, you don't get this engraving in there. But you do get a special 10% off your entire order. Let me pull it up. Bazam! Yo, like this mint color. I love mint colored things. Use our code CORE, CORPS, in the promo section so that you can get 10% off. They are, like I said, they really are the coldest water. I agree with Katie, though. I took my straw out. Or sometimes if I leave the straw in, I just like loosen it up. I like it without the straw, but I'm totally a cold water girl. I like frigid water. Like I like the cold. I like when it cold hurts. So I like cold water, and this is definitely the coldest water. So that's right there. And also, I mean, get any color you want, but who doesn't want Hanji yellow? Also, make sure that you check out John Robert Hall's latest song, Third Wheel. That's my brother-in-law to be. Yay! He just had a Twitch performance the other day. But make sure you follow him on social media. John Robert Hall. He has a bunch of new stuff coming out. And he has a bunch of releases of new songs all the time. So you follow that. Also, once again, if you would like... Look at these masks. Demon Slayer masks. Boom, boom, boom. Created by the Penguin Creates in collaboration with Penglushi. Rio, our current sushi mom, drew these. Where's the stickers of these that I have? They're so cute. You also get the stickers. So if you order any one of these masks, you get Demon Slayer stickers with it. Look at that. We have Tanny. My boy Tanny. That's my boy Tanny. Oh, I gotta do the influencer thing where I'm like, this is my Morphe brush, blah, 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 blah. This is Tanny. Little Tan. I called him Tanny the first time I watched Demon Slayer. When I was watching it with Soulmate. And she was like, I hate you. And now everyone calls him Tanny. And then you have my boy Zenitsu. This is my favorite character of all. I love Zenitsu. And then of course you have little Zuko right here. Little nugget. Wearing face masks before face masks. We're cool. Anyways, if you want to order Demon Slayer masks like this and possibly others that might come along, make sure you follow the Penguin Creates. Can you see her? There it is. I'm going to put my brown arm right there. Brown is beautiful. The Penguin Creates on Instagram, and you can slide into them DMs and you can order right there. Yeesh. And then tomorrow, I forgot to put it up here. Bro TP. I'm so bad. This Saturday is another Work on Your Core class with Koki. He played Connie. Our Connie Springer. Oh, if you read the latest chapter of Attack on Titan, you know you need a Connie Springer fix. So join us this Saturday on Instagram. Right? No, I'm a liar. Not on Instagram. On TikTok. Tickety-tock-tock. On TikTok. At what time, bro, TP? I forget what time. But join us on TikTok. Make sure you're following us there. Oh, Sunday. Oops. I meant Sunday. Let's start that over again. Whee! This Sunday is another Work on Your Core with Coney. Coney? I tried to say Koki and Connie at the same time. Koki, our Connie Springer. And if you read the latest chapter of Attack on Titan, you know that you need a Connie Springer fix. So join us on TikTok on Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sunday, TikTok, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if it's 5 p.m. here on the West Coast, that's when it's happening. If you're on the East Coast, add like New York, add 3 hours. If you're not that far east, add 2. If you're across the international date line, I think you missed it. No, I'm kidding. 5 p.m. Sunday, TikTok, Connie Springer teaching us some moves. I got it. Yes, and if you're a patron, you get to be in the Zoom with him. So patrons, we only really do the Q&As with the patrons. And you get to have a discussion and have a talk with whoever is teaching for that day. So all of our lovely patrons will get to have a little chit chat with our Connie Springer. If you know what happens in the latest chapter of Attack on Titan, don't spoil it. But you can ask Koki about that. And you can ask him if he doesn't mind you telling him what happened. I usually tell the team what happens in Attack on Titan. I haven't told them yet. I told Rostin, and that's it. And he was like, what? And I was like, I know. Anyways. Oh, he's teaching Japanese pronunciation. Oh my gosh, he is. Clearly, I did not read this thing. He teaches Japanese pronunciation. Yo, Koki did one of those TikToks where he duetted and did like, can I be a voice actor? And he did all like the token phrases that you say in anime. It was really good. I was like, why is this so good? You should be a voice. You should be a seiyuu. Like his voice sounds so great on mic. Him and Sonali, they have really good mic voices. Anyways, we got there. We're going to learn Japanese pronunciation. So if you're a mega weeb, join us on TikTok on Sunday and you'll finally learn how to say these things correctly. I'll be there. Will I be there? Oh, I'll be working. Dang it. I need to learn how to say these words right. I can say Ayubon. Anyways, I hope you guys had a fun time with me on this randomly, unexpectedly emotional talk about female superheroes in both DC and Marvel, and superheroes in general. If you haven't caught up with the rest of the comic series, make sure you watch part 2 and part 1. What are they about? Part 2 is about all my recommendations. So if you want to get into comics and you want to read about all these things that I've been arbitrarily talking about, check out episode, I don't know what episode it is, but it's part 2, Beyond the Northern Wall. And I talk about all the recommendations of things that you should read. And you can read or watch part 1 where I just talk about how much I hate the New 52. And again, not cool to hate on things, but I have my reasons and I lay them out for you, and they are researched and they are tangible. So that's why. If you don't like something, make sure you don't like it for a reason. Other than that, I hope you all go and watch Captain Marvel again on Disney Plus, because why the heck not? And like Nipa said, I'm so excited for Raya. Is it Raya? Because I have a cousin named Raya, and I keep wanting to say Raya. But it's not Raya, right? It's Raya. It's weird. I'm waiting. You guys are so behind on the chat. This is me waiting in the future for you guys to catch up on whatever is happening. Bada 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 bada. Did I pronounce it right? I hope so. Anyways, I can't wait to watch that because Southeastern representation, oh my gosh, that's the one. Yas. Anyways, have a lovely day. Remember, all month is Women's History Month. That doesn't mean this is the only month that you celebrate women, but it is a month where you can take the time to learn more about women's history, especially knowing that we are led by amazing Raya. There we go. We are led by amazing women in this day and age. And if you don't like the women in the real life, that's okay. You got superheroes. Ha ha ha. Let's bring it out. Bring it out. Bring it out. Bring it out. This episode went over because I got emotional. Feelings are good. Anyone who tells you otherwise is kind of an idiot. Right. Oh God, I couldn't even say it right. Tomato on 3. 1, 2, 3. Tomato. What was that? I don't think I was even saying tomato. Anyways.